been around great fighters. That's without bullshit. You know, there was Leonard and Hagler, and then there was Floyd. You know, was a hell of a fighter. I've never seen anybody like this. None of them compared to him.
At the end of the day, this sport is about more than competition, and this fight becomes another exhibit in that regard. Fighters want to win their fights, and what Floyd Mayweather does maximizes all his chances in that regard. He avoids punishment, he carefully selects his opportunities to score, he gradually erodes the will of his opponents, he walks away clean. Pernell Whitaker and Roy Jones did all the same things, and like Mayweather, they rose to the top rung on the pound-for-pound ladder for significant periods in their careers. But fans want something else. Fans want fighters who take risks to please them, who understand that the passion play is more moving than the clinical exercise, who are willing to come into harm's way to try to do harm. That's what Oscar De La Hoya has given to boxing through the whole second half of his career.
If a black boxer was tough and could withstand punishment, well, he could withstand punishment because his skull was thicker, because he was insensitive to pain. That it really was a sign of some larger inferiority. If he was a smart boxer, a wily boxer, then he was slightly deceptive. There was something untrustworthy about his activity in the ring.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? The sport of boxing since the inception has always been based on race, nationality, and pride, in that order. As you guys can see in all of those clips that I played for you. The interesting thing is all of those clips was from a different time. The dates may change, but the narrative always remains the same. That clip of Jim Lampley, that was immediately following Floyd Mayweather's massive win over Oscar De La Hoya that propelled Floyd Mayweather into the face of boxing.
Mayweather is, no doubt about it, in my mind, in Mosley's mind, in anybody's mind now, that he is the best. He keeps on proving it over and over and over again. And tonight convinced me, I have to say the truth, convinced me that he is the best. There's obviously a lot of people who will say and who can argue this, but of all time.
Now, that right there, that was a clip of what Oscar De La Hoya said after Floyd Mayweather dominated Shane Mosley. But going back to the Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant clip, they actually invited Floyd Mayweather to the studio immediately following his big win over Oscar De La Hoya that propelled him into the face of boxing. But little did Floyd Mayweather know he was being set up to be ambushed by Larry Merchant and Jim Lampley. After moving up, about 4 weight classes, Floyd Mayweather gets the biggest win of his career, gets invited to HBO to do an interview about the fight. And instead, Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant, they tag team Floyd Mayweather. They go on this rant, discrediting Floyd Mayweather for beating De La Hoya, while at the same time congratulating and praising the loser Oscar De La Hoya, and trying their best to explain to their viewers why being the best is not important. It's actually more important to be liked by us, is exactly what Jim Lampley was saying in that clip. He talked about Floyd Mayweather maximizing his chances of winning as if that was the worst thing about Floyd Mayweather. The translation is simple, if it even needs translation. He's basically saying this man just keeps winning and he refuses to lose. And this is the reason why back in those days, Jim Lampley, he came up with his own list. It was his version of the pound for pound list. He called it the Gaddy's list, named after Arturo Gatti. It was a list of fighters that he personally liked. See, because he didn't like the actual pound for pound list because it had too many black fighters on it. By the way, Oscar De La Hoya, he was on the show as well. He just wasn't there live. Once again, when you listen to what Jim Lampley said, it's history repeating itself. You guys also seen that other clip I played for you guys. That was Randy Roberts talking on the Unforgivable Blackness Jack Johnson documentary. You see him pointing out the same type of racial double standards that we see today. If Devin Haney beats Lomachenko, it's because he's bigger and he's younger. But when Floyd Mayweather is 36 and he beats Canelo, who's 20 pounds bigger than him, now It was Floyd Mayweather who had the advantages because he had the experience. Even though Canelo Alvarez was almost the exact same age that Devin Haney will be going into the Lomachenko fight. Guys, just think about this for a second. Can you think of one time in the history of the sport where members of the media and fans that are not black, which are the majority of boxing fans, were actually saying the black guy lost to the non-black fighter because the non-black fighter was so much bigger? You guys have never heard them say that before because it's never been said before. In fact, what you will usually hear race fans say is they want to see the black fighter at a massive weight disadvantage fighting against someone way bigger than them. Like when Floyd Mayweather was already 38, 39 years old, and you started to hear old media saying, I would love to see Floyd Mayweather fight against Gennady Golovkin. Now keep in mind, old media had already said that Floyd Mayweather, he was pillow-fisted, he had no power, he had already moved up 5 weight classes. Now he's 38, fighting at welterweight, and they were pushing for him to fight against a middleweight in Gennady Golovkin.
Look, I'd love to see him fight Mayweather and see his strength and his ferocity and his will, being Golovkin that is, and his physical approach. I would like to see that tested with the science of a Mayweather, the speed of a Mayweather, the elusiveness, the craft of a Mayweather. I'd love to see that.
Teddy Atlas, he wanted to see Golovkin versus Floyd Mayweather, but he never said he wanted to see Golovkin versus Andre Ward, who at the time was pound for pound, number one, the best fighter in the world. He was the champion at 168, which Gennady Golovkin at the time was calling out Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Carl Froch at 168. And he said he'll fight anyone from 154 to 168. Now, going back to Teddy Atlas, he did say on another interview, if Golovkin were to fight Andre Ward, which I don't think it will ever happen, this is what he said, my money is on Andre Ward. See, the only difference from the Floyd Mayweather fight and the Andre Ward fight is Teddy said he would like to see Golovkin fight Floyd Mayweather. He never said he would like to see Golovkin fight Andre Ward. And that's obviously because the perception is Floyd Mayweather would be at a handicap in a fight like that, and not Andre Ward. They feel that these black fighters are so dominant, and so gifted, so talented. The only way you're going to see a really, really competitive fight is if the black fighter is at a massive disadvantage, some kind of way. And even when the black fighter wins with that disadvantage, they still give the excuse to the fighter that's bigger, stronger, like they did with Canelo Alvarez. This is so ironic because, of course, old media's ESPN, Max Kellerman and the gang, they're going out of their way, already trying to make every excuse in the book for why Devin Haney is going to win the fight. Even though Lomachenko has a really good chance of beating Devin Haney because of his skill, they personally believe that Devin Haney is far more superior than Lomachenko is skill-wise. So they feel it's way too dangerous to even entertain Lomachenko winning this fight, because they feel if they do entertain Lomachenko winning the fight, that would force them to have to give Devin even more credit for the win, which is exactly why they removed Lomachenko from the pound-for-pound list once this fight was even close to being announced. Remember, this is the same network, ESPN, that had Lomachenko on the pound-for-pound list and didn't have Devin there when they thought this fight was never going to come to fruition. See, ESPN, they're trying to save face. They don't want to get caught up the same way Paulie Malignaggi is getting caught up right now. Because Paulie Malignaggi, who said that Devin Haney was going to duck Lomachenko, and then he even had the nerve to say that he would be willing to bet money that Lomachenko is going to win the fight. Now he's already making excuses for why he believes Devin Haney is going to beat Lomachenko. It always changes once the fight becomes a reality. You see, the pattern is always the same with old media. They will continue to praise a fighter and tell you he's the greatest fighter of all time in the hopes that he never has to fight against a very dangerous black fighter, or sometimes it's just a dangerous fighter at all. And what often happens is as soon as they find out that one of their favorite fighters is fighting against one of those dangerous black fighters, they immediately throw their favorite fighter under the bus. just in case the black guy beats him. They did the exact same thing once the Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao fight was announced. It's one of their best plays in the handbook right now. Now let's just think about this for a second. If Lomachenko beats Devin Haney, do you think you will hear anyone claiming that Devin Haney was way too young, he was way too inexperienced to be fighting against Lomachenko? If Devin Haney would have fought him 4 years from now, Devin would have beat him, like they all said when it came to Mayweather-Canelo. Do you guys think anyone will be saying that? We know what time it is. If you look at all of these pictures that I have on the screen right now, all these fighters I have on the screen right now, what you will notice is they all became a victim of the old media curse. What is the old media curse? As soon as old media starts to overrate a fighter, starts to say he's greater than Ali, he's pound for pound better, he's the Michael Jordan of the sport, he's better than Terrence Crawford, Mayweather, Andre Ward. As soon as they start to praise a fighter like that, that fighter ends up losing shortly after that. It's called the old media curse. That happened to every single fighter that you guys see on the screen right now. I'm not saying all of these fighters were rated pound for pound #1, but they were all at one point put on the pound for pound list. Nonito Donaire, they had him #2 behind Manny Pacquiao. Shortly after that, he lost to Guillermo Rigondeaux. All the other fighters on the screen right now, they were all at one point considered pound for pound #1, the best fighter in the world at one point. ESPN had Gennady Golovkin rated higher than Roy Jones when it comes to the greatest fighter, one of the greatest fighters of all time in the last 25 years. He was rated above many other fighters, Roy Jones, Bernard Hopkins, and the list goes on and on. And on top of that, of course, they had him #1. And then you have Lomachenko, who was often compared to Floyd Mayweather, and as Bob Arum put it, was greater, not just on their level, but greater than Mayweather, Ali, and Sugar Ray Leonard. Shortly after Bob Arum said that, Lomachenko, he suffered his second loss in his pro career to Teofimo Lopez. Another loss that he never avenged, by the way. But what's really ironic is Lomachenko's biggest win of his career was against Guillermo Rigondeaux. And in that fight, the same people that are making excuses saying that Devin Haney is too big, they never said this when Lomachenko fought Guillermo Rigondeaux, who moved up 2 weight classes just to fight Lomachenko. And just to show you how that wasn't his natural weight, after the loss, Rigo moved back down 2 weight classes. Unlike Vasiliy Lomachenko, who campaigns at 135 and has been fighting there for years already. It was immediately following Lomachenko's win over Rigo that ESPN's Dan Rafael said that Lomachenko would beat Floyd Mayweather. Listen guys, I'm gonna wrap this video up by saying this. At the end of the day, the greatest thing about social media today is once you put it out there, once you say it, you can't take it back. So old media's dilemma right now is they overrated Lomachenko. And since so many of these race fans, they use some of these words as code words, which means it has a different meaning when they use the word, sometimes they forget what the actual meaning of the word is. Saying that Lomachenko or any fighter is overrated, it doesn't mean that that fighter was never a pound for pound champ. It doesn't mean he wasn't a really talented fighter and a very successful fighter. When you say Lomachenko is greater than Floyd Mayweather, Ali, and Sugar Ray Leonard, that's when you are overrating him. Now, if you were to say that Lomachenko is better than a Canelo Alvarez, a Gennady Golovkin, an Adrian Broner, then you wouldn't be overrating him, you would be telling the truth. So when I say that old media overrated Lomachenko and they overrated all of these fighters that you guys see on the screen right now, that was their demise. That was old media's demise. Because you can make all the excuses in the world for why you believe Devin Haney is going to beat Lomachenko on May 20th. But you cannot take back what you said about Lomachenko. It was only 2 fights ago that they were saying Lomachenko, he was vintage Lomachenko when he knocked out Nakatani. It wasn't until he fought Jermaine Ortiz and then they found out that he was going to fight Devin Haney that they started to throw Lomachenko under the bus with the excuses. The only differences from Nakatani and Jermaine Ortiz is Nakatani had no defense and he was flat-footed. Nakatani is actually taller than Jermaine Ortiz and Devin Haney. But yet, that was Lomachenko's easiest fight because of the style match, because of the many flaws that Nakatani had. This is another question I have. How did Devin Haney go from being the most feather-fisted puncher, the guy who has zero power? Let them tell it. This is what they were saying about Devin Haney way before we were talking about Devin Haney versus Lomachenko. How did he go from that to now all of a sudden being this guy with all of these physical advantages? Devin Haney is not a brawler like Maidana. He doesn't fight like Gennady Golovkin. He's not as tall as Luke Campbell or Nakatani. So what advantages are they really talking about? They're really talking about Devin Haney's IQ advantage, his athleticism, his speed, his timing, his natural reflexes, his ability to control distance and adjust to all different types of styles. Those are those big advantages that they are worried about. But they're obviously not going to tell you that, because if they say that, then they would have to give Devin Haney all the credit for beating the man they said was greater than Ali, Floyd Mayweather, and Sugar Ray Leonard. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, the
Fever blisters, diabetic ulcers.
this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called LO Key Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to LODekey.com.
Like them on Facebook and follow them on Instagram.
Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.